I'm going to do a quick rundown of the biggest changes for 7.19c, and this is the second patch since TI8. The first patch was incredibly minor, I didn't cover it, but this patch is much more significant and addresses the heroes that were really overpowered in the international, and a lot of it is actually nerfs, which if you're sick of the strongest heroes in the patch right now, this is kind of good. So the biggest nerf of all, and getting straight into it, is Wraith King. His Wraith Fire Blast has been nerfed really hard. It stuns for lower duration and does significantly less damage. Now the other thing that also got nerfed, like the Lifesteal aura, doesn't affect ranged heroes anymore, so sometimes people will be getting Wraith King and into a Drow strat and have him as the front line, so that's like being nerfed, which is pretty good. And another hero that works well with Drow is Weaver, and his intelligence got reduced. The Swarm that got nerfed last patch with costing extra mana, it now has a longer cooldown. His time lapses cooldown is longer as well, and his level 10 and level 15 talents have been changed, but he still has that experience talent of 35% on level 10, which is one of the reasons why he was really strong at the International 8. Now going on to Clinks, he got 4 minor nerfs, with the biggest one being that his Searing Arrows mana cost was increased from 10 to 12 mana. And this doesn't sound like much, but it's actually 20% more mana to use your Searing Arrows. Now that's pretty significant in my opinion, especially when you're trying to burst down a hero. Another hero that deals with mana is Crystal Maiden. Her Arcane Aura got a mana regen is lower on every single level. Now Crystal Maiden might not be that great right now, but she's quite popular. Now a support that's really strong, and I think that's super overpowered and was picked up a lot at the International 8, is Dark Willow, and her Bramble Maze damage has been reduced at all levels, but I still think this ability is so overpowered. It's basically Treant Protector's ultimate, but better. It does damage, it has a cast range, and it stays in the location. It's crazy. And Treant Protector's ultimate, the only difference is that it goes through BKB. Now the other stuff she also got nerfed with is her Shadow Realm cooldown is longer, so that she does a little bit less harass in lane, but it's actually like really small difference. It's only like 2 seconds extra, which is really nothing. And her Cursed Crown stun duration is a little bit less, and the Bedlam damage is reduced as well. But again, all of these other ones were super minor, and the biggest change only came to her Bramble Maze damage. Now going on with the nerfs, Enchantress got nerfed to where her early game laning stage is a little bit weaker than what it used to be, but one of the bigger changes, which is kind of a buff and a nerf at the same time, is the Grimstroke. So the Inkswell no longer makes the target immune to attacks, and it no longer silences and disarms the target. So basically what this means is that it's going to be better to use it aggressively on your ally, but it's going to be worse to use it defensively to save yourself or your allies. So pretty much the hero is kind of changed up where it's not like Oracle anymore, where you could just put that like spell on them and it would like save them or save yourself, and it ended up a lot of the time being really hard to catch Grimstroke if you didn't silence him at the start. But another thing of where he got buffed was with his Soulbind, which is his ultimate. The duration of the like entanglement between the two heroes is 2 seconds longer at every level. So pretty much the level 1 ultimate is now the equivalent of the old level 2, which is really long duration. Especially 10 seconds in the late game is massive. One of the heroes that's really good harassing in this patch is Silencer, and his 3 spells, Last Word, Arcane Curse and Global Silence, all now have increased mana cost at every single level. So it means the Silencer is going to run out of mana quicker. But another hero that you probably hate playing against at this point is Spectre, and it's good to know that Spectre got various nerfs, but a lot of them are very minor and pretty much nerfing Spectre's damage at the later parts of the game. And it won't really make much of a difference of what the hero is being played right now, but it just means that it'll bring back the win rate maybe like 1 or 2%. That's what I predict anyways. But one of the heroes that I think is super like broken at the moment, especially on level 25, is Storm Spirit, and the fact that the Remnant talent just ends up being this, you can't like push the towers because your creep waves just die to all the remnants, and that hasn't been addressed, and instead the static remnant damage has been reduced on the early levels just so that Storm Spirit will do like less damage or less likely to snowball, make it a little bit harder for him to jungle. So pretty much you do not want to go to level 25 against this hero unless you have a lot of lockdown to get him. Now, two other heroes that got relatively small changes were Zeus and Ursa, where they're a little bit easier just to fight now in comparison to what they were before. But one of the more interesting changes is with Vengeful Spirit's stun. It now has a slower projectile speed, meaning that it's much easier to dodge, especially if you have an ability early on in the laning stage, or even something like a Weaver using Sakuchi or Dark Willow using her invulnerability. You can disjoint projectile, and later in the game with a Mantis style if you are playing a carry. Now the thing is that this is all that's been happening in this patch, and it won't really change much of how the gameplay overall is happening. There has been a couple of item changes with Blade Mail, and that's like relatively it, and the Blade Mail will probably only affect maybe a hero like Pudge or Axe. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button.